Welcome to Late Night with Lucas 2 Blue. This is the 21 Jump Street franchise frenzy, the last episode of the summer school series that we did all summer, and this will be the final episode of the summer, and we will return to you in the fall. But why don't we have everyone introduce themselves on the panel, starting with Ryan.
Well, my name's Ryan. Got that out of the way. I'm part of the show LCT, which we got the rest of the crew on here as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Duncan.
Yeah. He's here still.
All right, Trevor.
Hello, y'all. My name is Trevor, and I am another co-host of LCT, here to spread my tee-hee knowledge. I should have ended with tee-hee to make a rhyme, but it's okay. Anyway, Duncan.
I'm Duncan, co-host of this podcast, Late Night with Lucas 2 Blue, and I help out Lucas with producing and with streams.
Perfect.
Producing, skadoosing.
I am the host of the show, Lucas McCormick, and founder of Lucas 2 Blue Network. But yeah, let's jump into it. So Duncan, did you do some research on Origins? Because I definitely did not.
I did. You're in luck.
Perfect.
And Origins
So
Wolverine.
I'm going to specifically focus on the TV series
Perfect.
because I think that's the sort of the one missing thing that we have in this whole framework that we've come up with that we haven't really touched on yet. And I think it's a good place to sort of jump off and jump into the pool of 21 Jump Street because it's where it all started. So 21 Jump Street was a crime drama series from the 80s. It debuted in 1987 on Fox and ran until 1991. It totaled 103 episodes over 5 seasons. And the premise of the show, just like the movies that it spawned later, the main characters feature youthful appearances, allowing them to go undercover as students to investigate crime, and then the sort of themes that the show covers between police work, typical things you'd expect, stories of addiction, drug and alcohol use, dealing with homophobia and sort of that hurdle in the early 80s or late 80s and early 90s. The AIDS crisis, stories of child abuse, and sometimes sexual promiscuity, which is pretty interesting for television at that time. And the name of the show, just as the movie sort of alludes to, comes from an old church within the show at the address of the name, 21 Jump Street. And that church is repurposed into the police unit's headquarters. Something I thought was an interesting note about that is how the way that the show sort of uses that, and then they kind of distance themselves from the whole religious theme. And another note about that sort of repurposing, the initial name for the series, working title you could call it, was Jump Street Chapel for the show, and the executives at Fox got rid of that because they thought audiences would interpret that as being a religious show, and they were like, well, that's not what the show's about. We don't want to draw people in, making them think they're seeing something that they're not. So they went with 21 Jump Street. And of course, I've sort of left this to the end, but he pops up again, part-time musician and most of the time actor Johnny Depp, who we sort of talked about in our Harry Potter franchise frenzy when he again appeared in Fantastic Beasts. Although at this time in the 80s, the audiences would have known him from Nightmare on Elm Street and Platoon. Johnny Depp held a starring role playing Officer Tom Hansen. And of course, he fits right into the mold of having a youthful appearance and going undercover as a student. So yeah, that's pretty much as far as I went. I feel like this show is kind of iconic, but at the same time, we don't have to have seen it to be able to appreciate what the 21 Jump Street sort of series and franchise as a whole uh, entails. And I will say, just as a note, uh, the characters that Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill play in the movies don't quite resemble, uh, by in terms of name and identity, the characters on the show, although they can kind of be derived from those initial uh, drafts of those characters. Like Jenko is on the show, but of course Schmidt is not. So they kind of just brought those guys over and sort of made their own sort of spin-off of it, which I'm sure we'll get to that kind of stuff when we talk about our own possible future of the show and what we think about how this franchise could go forward after the two movies that we're going to talk about. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have for the origins.
Perfect. I had to mute myself. There was a very loud car speeding down the road near my house.
Vroomity vroom vroom.
Yeah. This time it wasn't my brother's car.
Oh, wow.
Start going vroom.
First
Always
time
a
for
new
everything.
Yeah. Yeah, so tailing off of what Duncan said, so the 21 Jump Street franchise part that we are focusing on exclusively in this episode is the two 21 Jump Street films that came out in the years 2012 and 2014 recently. And those were directed by Chris Miller and Phil Lord. And they are pretty notorious for Lego Movie, Clone High, what else have they done that I can't think of at the moment? Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. They're pretty well known in both animation and comedy directors. They're pretty fantastic. But I want to talk about this thing I'm calling the reboot complex. So typically when a Hollywood property gets rebooted in the world of cinema or TV, it usually can go one of two ways. It's usually either pretty bad, some examples being the Ghostbusters 2016 film, any Disney live-action reboot, the Men in Black International film, and The Mummy from 2017, are all examples of how a reboot can just go horribly wrong. Just like they completely missed the point of the original. They just did it for the title and to get notoriety's sake. It's not really genuine to the actual original story. And I want to talk about some examples that are good. And I would say that the 21 and 22 Jump Street are really good examples of how to reboot something, but also make it different and newer and fresh. So some other examples of that could be like X-Men First Class, A Star is Born. I'm specifically talking about the Lady Gaga version. Bumblebee, Mad Max Fury Road. So any sort of like soft reboot or something where there's some sort of change that, might change the original story, but adapts it in a way that makes it really good. Oh, another one is John Carpenter's The Thing, which is probably the most famous reboot of all time. But just like, I would say that 21 Jump Street, you could chalk up in the better reboots of all time that are well known and will probably last the test of time and are not raging fire trash heaps. So, anywho, let's get into some of the themes of 21 Jump Street. We'll explain why it's a reboot, why it's a great reboot in its themes, and actually talking about the films. So,
Real quick, I just wanted to speak a tiny bit on the reboot complex thing. I think that what 21 Jump Street and a couple of the other ones you mentioned that are so good about them. Sorry, give me one moment, actually.
Oh, Trevor did for a second. Do you guys have anything to add in the reboot thing?
I felt like the reboot list is interesting. It's not exactly what I would have thought of. Like,
Very sorry
I
about
feel like
that.
there's other reboots out there. Maybe we're just not thinking of.
Yeah, those were just the ones I could come
Surprisingly,
up
the
with.
good reboots are surprisingly short.
Yeah, it's pretty
Off the
sparse.
top of the head list.
Very sorry about the disruption.
You're good. Go for it, Trevor.
But anyway, as I was saying, is that I think that what 21 Jump Street has as an advantage is that it has the benefit of not, like, to most people, being a reboot, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know me personally did not know of the original series when I first saw the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can watch it as something without necessarily comparing it to something else in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think, similar how you said is another really good reboot, A Star is Born. I did not know that was a reboot originally either.
It's also the fourth reboot.
Right, no, exactly. But, like, I think one good thing that these I guess reboots do is that they let sufficient time pass in between, which gives them an advantage. And then in terms of the couple of the other ones you mentioned, like X-Men First Class and Bumblebee, even though it's recent, they tried to take it in a very different way than their originals, which I think can be bad because it doesn't always end up the best. At least it's fresh, right? And that's, I think, that something a lot of people enjoy with the reboots is they don't want a rehash. They want a reboot. They want it to be different. If it's going to be different, like, go for it.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you wanted to say, Trevor?
No, that was my main idea.
Yeah,
Chips.
go for it, Ryan. Oh, yeah.
Chips is basically the anti-21 or 22 Jump Street.
That's a good point.
In the sense that, like, it's also about a show that most people don't know about. But unlike 21 Jump Street, Chips is Garbo.
Trevor, I'm going to save you some embarrassment. You might want to turn off your camera and turn it back on, because for some reason your face is stuck on this frozen frame in a very strange position.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a weird one. Go ahead and try that out and see what happens.
Perfect, you fixed it. I didn't want to leave it the entire show.
I've just been having a really long sneeze.
Yes,
yes. Really, really long sneeze.
Allergies.
No.
Yeah. Let's jump into the themes of it. So Duncan kind of mentioned the themes of the original show. The one thing I know about the original show is it's more of a drama than it was a comedy. 21 Jump Street is a full-blown comedy. It's not meant to be serious. It's meant to be very comedic and pretty meta at times. Phil Lord and Chris Miller are pretty well known for having a lot of meta commentary in their films, especially like Lego Movie and Spider-Man. They kind of talk about just like the ridiculousness of the universes, and how like Lego Movie is the hero's journey, but it's a parody of the hero's journey. And my favorite part about Lego Movie 2 is the fact that it's a parody of the sequel to the hero's journey, which is hilarious. And they have a little bit of cheeky commentary in 22 Jump Street about sequels as well. But let's jump into this. So this was like their first big feature film was 21 Jump Street. But some of the things that it gets covered in these films are themes of police power, undercover cops, obviously. It's basically kind of the anti-High School Musical comedically that just coincidentally worked out in the planning of this. And then also some of the themes that they tackle are growth of former fears and problems and how friendships are, and how close can platonic friendships go before they become romantic friendships. But yeah, I don't know. Would you guys have anything else to say about that?
What do you mean by that last line, Lucas?
The platonic friendships almost becoming romantic relationships.
Are you talking about when he tries to get the grenade from Schmidt's pants?
No.
In 22 Jump Street, like the final moment.
I just in general, there's a lot of crossing the lines of what is friendship in these movies, and like the idea of what a relationship looks like. They really like to toy with the idea of making these buddy cops like less of a two friends that have to, you know, make up their differences, and more of like a almost
it's like a bromance.
Yeah, but it's bromance that takes it almost too far.
Well, it's like in the second movie, right?
Yeah.
They go to like the therapist thing,
Uh-huh.
and he tells him to hold hands, and he's like interlock fingers. If you don't, not interlock just for friends, but we're partners, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going for like a bond of friendship that supersedes normal friendship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because at least in the overall meta narrative of the movie, they are cops potentially working in life threatening situations. I mean, not most of the time, but then when they inevitably get found out, people start shooting at them.
Right.
So like, I think that goes to like a higher level of trust, and like, hey man, we hang out and play Smash Bros or something like that, you know. So
it's just funny because in the beginning moments of the first 21 Jump Street, you see Janko and Schmidt in high school, and they are polar opposites in terms of characters. One is a jock, but he doesn't get very good grades, whereas Schmidt's the smart one, right?
Yes,
Schmidt,
you have it right. Just keep going.
Schmidt is the smart one.
And Schmidt is the nerdy, straight A getting student that doesn't get the girl.
Not so Slim Shady. That's
as Janko likes to refer to him as. Yes.
I don't know why I always love that line.
It's a pretty good line. Not gonna lie.
It makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Not so Slim Shady? Hey, what's up, man?
Mm-hmm. It's a little. I think they dropped it for the second movie because it was a little dated by that point. And
yeah, you'd have to like re-explain it.
Yeah.
For people coming in.
Yeah. It makes sense for the first movie because they open with an Eminem track and
with
stuff.
Him, he literally is dressed as
Slim Shady.
Eminem. Yeah.
Visual connection.
Well,
right
the
there.
real Slim Shady, please stand up.
Yeah. I also love Channing Tatum with super long straight hair.
I'm convinced that's the only way they could have made him look like a high school student, like an actual age high school student, was just to give him the longest hair possible.
Okay.
Like that was the only way they could kind of stretch it.
Yeah.
And because I'm rewatching Brooklyn Nine-Nine right now, and every flashback scene with Andy Samberg is just him with some different haircut.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Other than his classic like short hair.
That's the secret to being young
way,
is having
secret sauce to character flashbacks.
I mean, who didn't have overly long hair when they were young?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't. I had short hair because of the sport I was in, and it only made sense to do that, but that's just me. I'm very unique.
I had hair to here.
I remember.
Just kidding. No, it wasn't that bad.
On the front.
It was definitely yeah, exactly. No,
Yeah.
it was long though.
It was pretty long.
It was a trip.
Yeah. Should we start talking about 21 Jump Street, or do we need to say anything more about the themes of the series?
To go, I keep freezing up. It looks like.
Yeah. If you need to turn your camera off, it's okay, Trevor. I understand.
Yeah, I'll keep redoing my camera until I get one that makes me look really good, and then I'll just go off of it.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Go ahead on top.
All right.
Wait, I'll do this for a while.
Are we good? Are we good for 21 Jump Street to open the conversation? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's open the conversation. But before I do that, I want to say a special thank you to our sponsor, Barrel Brothers Brewing Company. Thank you again for sponsoring the show. We appreciate your help. They are a Windsor-based brewery. Go check them out either online or in person. They do drive-by pickups, and you can pick up their wide selection of beers on tap, and they have some really great stuff. I don't have one on me. I normally do, but I'm just trying to hydrate tonight, so not drinking on the show this one. But with that, let's jump into 21 Jump Street. So 21 Jump Street is this super meta look into cops in 2012, and I wrote down boomer energy, but that's just kind of a joke. They aren't boomers, they're actually millennials. And so, but there's definitely this moment where Schmidt and Jenko go to the high school, and they are immediately very out of place, and they don't understand the world of high school and how it's changed, and how the nerds and jocks have kind of blended together, and nerds now do drugs and whatnot. It's a very strange world, and they don't get it, and it's very weird. It's a little. There's a little too much sexual tension with minors in the film. It's just a little weird. And it's okay for like one joke, but they maybe do it one too many jokes. So I'm just gonna state that they never show anything like that, and most of the actors in the film are actually of age, so that makes it a little less weird. But still, they're supposed to be portraying 16 to 18-year-olds, and it's just
very meta because they have obviously they have older actors,
right,
older than even like believable high school age playing high school undercover high schoolers, and then they have actors who are about college age playing high schoolers.
Yeah.
Within the continuity of the show,
so it's like a shift,
meta thing. By the time they get to the sequel, it's just they're just making fun of what they made fun of the last time.
Yeah. You look like you're 50 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk a little bit more about how in 22 Jump Street it makes more sense for the environment. Let's see here. I would say, since this is kind of their first feature film, Lord and Miller, it's a little unrefined, and it's pretty raw in the humor. They go in ways that they haven't gone in a while with their humor. But it makes fun of the cop show and buddy cop trope like a ton. So it's pretty humorous in that regard, and it does a really good job of making light of that and talking about a little bit of the political tension at the time. Although there was a lot less, that at least out in the open, than there is now.
It was more primitive.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much what I have written about this first film. What do you guys want to say about this? I'm open to discussion.
I want to go back to one of the first things you said about the like generational gap, and the return to the classroom, if you will. That is like up there. I think it's like top 3 biggest fears for me when we ever get back to the classroom. It's like, what if the students are just like totally different generationally? What if it's just like that kind of a generation shock?
Oh yeah, this is coming from a student teacher. I'm curious to hear more about this opinion of yours.
Well, it's the idea that you're going to be out of touch, right?
Yeah.
That at some point you shifted from knowing what people are talking about to, through some unforeseen and unexpected circumstance, you're suddenly completely out of the loop, and you don't know when it happened. And that's the thing that I think is the most scary.
Exactly.
Is the thought that there's no way to tell ahead of time.
Yeah, because the grouping of generations happens very retroactively. It's always, we wait for a group of people to enter the workforce, and then we categorize them and do all these statistics. So that process is kind of always happening, and it as a group enters the workforce, it'll happen a lot, and then it'll kind of go silent for a while.
Yeah.
People just constantly churning over that existing sort of data,
Right.
and then where it goes, that's kind of unknown. So it's I was having a conversation with a fellow educator of like, how do we know when then this current Gen Z ends and where something new begins? Is we won't really know until
Yeah.
the TikTok generation
Is that what we're
goes to
calling it now?
college, and I don't know if I would call them a generation yet,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna call them like the TikTok like cohort,
Yeah.
because they're not like a completely different than Gen Z. They're right now still a Gen Z.
Yeah.
But if you're taking this movie and you're saying this movie happens in the present day, and that sort of idea, I think that kind of blends well with when is the next generation of humans.
Yeah.
You know, how do you separate that?
There
And
were
clearly Schmidt and Jenko come across that in this,
Yeah.
in really both of these movies.
So
Well, it's interesting,
for context, real quick. So in the film, basically, Jenko and Schmidt are millennials. I mentioned that before, but the high school they go to is kind of the first group of Gen Z. That's students, because if you're following correctly, we actually, all four of us, were in high school right at that time that this film would have been coming out. So we are technically the students that are being portrayed in that film, or at least our generation is. And it's kind of crazy because Lord and Miller had probably been out of high school for quite a while at that time, so I feel like they captured the high school idea pretty well in the film of what the current state of high school kind of looked like at the time.
Do you think they had kids at the time? Do you think they had some way of like tapping into that?
I wonder. Yeah, I'm gonna
that
look into the
mindset.
21 Jump Street trivia real quick, and you guys
I'd
keep
imagine
talking.
it's like Clueless, where they just hung out at high schools and just like listened for students and recorded what they kind of said,
Yeah.
just to kind
Well,
of get a feel for dialogue.
I think it's interesting too, because you look at the movie and they're not 100% right, but I think the idea of how it's different is completely spot on, right? Because Jinko and Schmidt are coming from the classic, how we talked about that this movie is almost a subversion of High School Musical.
Yeah.
They come from kind of this High School Musical-esque school where the popular kids are athletic and and they bully the nerdy kids, and the nerdy kid's never going to go out with the popular kid kind of deal. Like, it's very like 80s movie high school, you know, like very, it's of a certain time, you know. And then coming into the new school, they have, well, the popular kids are not necessarily the athletes. Actually, the popular kids kind of make fun of the athletes as popular sports are so fucking fascist. And in the words of, what's his name, Eric. And so it's an interesting idea of, well, we don't know exactly how it's different, but we do know that high school is different and will be different, to the point that that could become the norm, right? Like, the higher, like, the most popular kids in school might not have the best grades, but they're in the upper percentile, and they group up and make fun of people, you know, like.
Yeah. I think that's fair. And I think also they did talk on topics that were pretty prevalent as well. Like, they talk about divorced parents and single parents a little bit briefly. It's in there though, with Brie Larson's character, as well as some other topics. What's else? You mentioned the sports thing. That's kind of an interesting little bit. But also I think the whole like line of drugs and hard drugs, and also it's weird because the film was kind of pre-smartphone a little bit. There were a couple like some people had smartphones, some people didn't, whereas by the time that we basically got to high school, smartphones were basically there the whole time. So I don't know, it was interesting. So there's that, but I don't know, I agree. I think out of all the high school movies, it does kind of capture a little bit in the accuracy, minus the actors. I would say the most accurate high school film that I've seen of the like last 20 years that's like more current is probably Booksmart. That one seems the most like real one out of everyone that I've seen. So I don't know.
What about Ladybird?
I haven't seen Ladybird.
Oh,
I need to watch that.
I think it also portrays the idea that going into high school, you might come out of it not who you thought you were.
Yeah.
And I think that's a major theme of the movie is that people are not static, they change. And even like they're supposed to be there like a week, right?
Yeah, it's not long.
In movie time.
I think you're right.
Because I think they get in like the last week of the school year or something like that. And so you take a character who was a bully in high school and you put him in AP chemistry for a week, and his friends are now nerds, and he in the next movie makes Star Wars jokes and plays D&D. And then you take a kid who was bullied in high school and who was not confident, and suddenly he's in theater and feels better about talking to popular kids. Even in such a short time, high school can really change you depending on what clique you end up falling into.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say cliques are the ever-ruling thing, but just as an idea of like who you surround yourself with can really change where you start out and end up in high school.
Right. Yeah, okay. That's a good point. Anything else you want to say about 21 Jump Street besides the generational gaps and whatnot?
Do we want to do like the overall summary like we did with like Harry Potter?
Sure, if you want to. This one is a little more off the cuff, but we got time.
I mean, okay, sure. I mean, our main story, right, is that we've got two cops, Schmidt and Janko, and they are not successful. They start out as bike cops in a park, and they attempt to take down a motorcycle gang, drugs, and Janko forgets to read his Miranda rights. So it's signaling to us that he is not the smart one of the two. He's supposed to be like the dumb guy. Meanwhile, Schmidt has his gun drawn and someone is running at him, and Schmidt doesn't take their shot, and it's supposed to show that he's not calm under pressure. So they get reassigned to go undercover as high schoolers, and our non-smart protagonist Janko they accidentally get swapped in terms of names, so he gets put in all these AP chemistry and all this stuff, and our non-confident guy gets put into drama and sports. So they both have to undertake, and they both instantly form connections with the people around them, so they're forced to stick with it in order to try and infiltrate to find a drug at the high school. And yeah, Schmidt gets a taste of what it's like to be popular, while Janko gets a taste of what it's like to be bullied and made fun of. And so they each see what the other had to go through. Schmidt hangs out with the popular kids, who they eventually find out are dealing in drugs through Janko's new friends, the kids in AP Chem, who help them hack into their phone. And then they try to arrest the suppliers of the drug, or the distributors of the drug, who turns out to be the motorcycle game from before. They basically get caught. They get expelled from school. They're fired from the Jump Street program. I don't know, everything's going wrong. But then they kind of go at one last shot and go in and interrupt a drug deal. And they find out that it was the gym, or the track coach, who was the creator of the drug. Big old chase. Excuse me. Janko takes a bullet for Schmidt. He catches it in the arm and blocks it. And right before that, though, he basically makes a homemade bomb using the stuff he learned in AP chemistry. So it's his "I'm a genius now" moment kind of thing. Hucks the bomb, blows up their car, and then Schmidt commits and is able to shoot the gym teacher, shoots his dick off. And yeah, so they both overcome their own personal flaw from the beginning of the movie, and yeah, kind of save the day.
And you just telling me this. Well, one, I want to. This is all backed with pretty meta commentary. Like, they're like, what did you peak at? Like 12, when he's talking to Janko, and he's like all like buff and fit and stuff. And then, one of the chemistry. Is it chemistry? It must be the chemistry teacher. Like flirts with Janko.
Yeah. The AP chemistry teacher's like, oh my gosh, you must be working out a lot.
I know it's really short and brief, but I love her little line exchange in Prom where she like has a whole conversation with him, but solely by herself. That kills me. And then also at the beginning of the film when they get pulled into the office of Officer Nick Offerman or Ron Burgundy, however you may choose.
Ron Swanson.
Ron Burgundy.
Yeah.
That's not Ron comedy film. Excuse me.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
We'll have to do Anchorman someday. No, I'll have to add that to the list.
That'd be great to watch.
I think I could do a podcast on that without rewatching either.
Yeah.
I know. I've got a lot. Well, I got the first one.
Anywho.
But I'll just do a flute solo and signal.
But
bring your lighter.
but I just realized something. The Lord and Miller must have hated their PE teacher because they made the PE teacher the worst, most unlikable character in this film. So it makes me wonder if like the PE teacher is just like their experience in PE was just like horrible in high school or something.
Just had so many bad PE teachers that they're just like, we have to make this guy the worst.
The worst.
We literally have to shoot his dick off.
Yeah.
And they got a good guy for Rob Riggle, man.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Yeah.
Portrays it really well.
NFL talk, movies, comedy, he's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like he portrays the like not intentional but also just an asshole kind of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoy from a bad guy, you know?
He's very much like the slightly bigoted uncle at everyone's family reunion.
He's not evil. He's just kind of a dick.
Yeah, like you got to keep him around because he's family and he's tenure, but he's not a great guy. I think that's kind of funny. Is that all we want to say about 21 Jump Street? If we said our piece before we jump into the, I think, better film, 22 Jump Street.
Sure.
All right.
Feel good.
Well, let's jump into 22 Jump Street. So I'll just quickly run through what I have written down. But before I do that, Trevor, do you have a recap for 22 Jump Street?
It's less good, I think.
Oh!
But I can...
Opposing views.
No. My recap will be less good.
Okay.
No. Yeah, my recap is...
What's this?
I'm more familiar with the first one.
Bring that back.
I'd say. I just... Like, I only saw the second one when we watched it for... Or when I watched it for, like, leading up to this, but I hadn't seen it before. The second one... the first one I've seen a couple times.
Okay.
I'm just going to pull up the summary real quick just to get a reminder. And I will summarize the summary as I am wont to do. So basically, 2 years later, the time it takes for our main characters to turn the ripe old age of 50. No, I'm just kidding. They go back to Jump Street. They kind of like graduated from Jump Street, but then are forced to go back because they fuck up another drug bust by this guy named the Ghost. They're now back at Jump Street, except they had to move across the street to... so it's not 21 Jump Street anymore. The location of the building is now 22 Jump Street. That's the title of the movie. So that's why they were able to get the 2 there. So they go undercover again as college students this time. And so it's the same type of deal, except now instead of being a nerd, Janko is now kind of filling into his original role of being a jock. So he joins the football team. Schmidt, meanwhile, meets an art student named Maya by pretending he likes slam poetry. and then they get in a relationship. And then Lucas's favorite part, after sleeping together, they find out that Maya is the daughter of the captain. And Schmidt bragged about it. And they meet at a like a father or like a family like get together, and they see each other, and the captain is visibly pissed, like just stares at him and goes over to the fucking what is it
The buffet
like
table?
buffet table. Yeah, there you go. Goes over to the buffet table, just starts beating the shit. He tries to get some green beans, and then tries to get some green beans. The guy gives him like 3, and he's like, "What is a fucking ration or something? Give me some goddamn green beans." So he grabs them out of the bowl and starts destroying shit. Anyway, yada yada. I'll let Lucas talk about the scene in the station later. Or Lucas, you want to talk about that now, real quick? Actually,
I mean, I'll go more into the details of it, but I definitely think it's probably one of my favorite scenes in comedy films in the last decade, for sure. just that entire sequence from start to finish, where you see Ice Cube playing the captain, sees Schmidt, and just has to stay silent the whole time about it in terms of information.
Do you two know each other? No.
Just it kills me every time, and I've watched that scene just alone by itself multiple times. It's so funny. But the pinnacle of the whole scene to me is when Janko realizes everything that happened, and
Yeah, this is the station after the
goes on a rampage around the station in at 22 Jump Street. And it's just like,
and all he does
Schmidt
is flip it, show the
captain's
photo.
daughter, and he's like dancing around and stuff. One of my favorite scenes of all time. Nothing can
I'm
defeat
getting more and more pissed every time he says
It could
that.
be the comedic peak of the movie. It's quite possibly the comedic peak of the movie. Maybe not
Easily
in terms of the plot.
No, but
it is probably the funniest joke in the film.
I don't know why it lands so well. It lands.
I think it
so
a lot of
well.
it goes down to Ice Cube's facial expressions. I think Ice Cube does a fantastic job just with the look on his face. Like it portrays so much in one look that I think it says it all.
Yeah. And I also love the fact that you literally hear like a microwave go off and like a figurative like light bulb lights up.
Ding! Yeah.
It's the most like on the nose way, but it works so effectively.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so anyway, back to the plot, right? So Schmidt and Janko aren't able to figure out who the dealer is, so they go and visit our 2 drug dealers from the first movie, Eric and the gym teacher, who I'm seeing here is named Mr. Walter. It's like, that's such a lame name. But anyway,
Called him Rob Riggle.
yeah. So they talk to him, and then the gym teacher guy points out a detail that they missed, which is like a tattoo on the arm, which implicates one of Janko's friends, but then they find out later that it's not him. But instead they're going after the ghost guy. Oh no, sorry. Janko basically tells Schmidt that he's offered a football scholarship, and he doesn't know if he wants to stay a cop, and so Schmidt goes and tells Maya the truth about his identity, and they kind of split up a little bit. But then Schmidt goes after the ghost, but then Janko joins him so they can like have one final mission. And they head to where they think he's going to be, but instead they find Maya's roommate, Mercedes, who is the daughter of the ghost guy from the beginning, who they have kind of figured out is the dealer. And then the captain shows up, the rest of Jump Street shows up, the ghost is running away, Schmidt fights Mercedes. And it's kind of weird because like there's this weird thing where like she kind of goes to kiss him, but she thinks he went in to kiss her. There's this whole deal.
She's trying to cop a feel on Schmidt.
Trevor, are you a Mercedes truther, or do you think Schmidt made the first move?
I'm gonna stay out of this situation personally because
Oh,
I don't
because
want
you're doing
to.
the summary right now.
Yeah, just because it's a summary, right? I don't
What
want
if I
to
asked you
spoil
again
the
in
whole
5
movie.
minutes?
Well, I mean,
Maybe I will.
quick
speak on it.
interruption. They did say once they start at school that the girls there like older men in general. So
Oh.
that was
I know. Look at
prefaced from the beginning.
fine.
I do. Yes, I remember watching that scene. They're like, yeah, the girls here are really into older guys. For whatever reason, and I was like, okay, that's a weird detail, and then it comes up. That's why.
Chekhov's detail.
Chekhov's old guy.
I don't know. I try to change it every time. That one needs some work.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Schmidt beats her, and then they chase after the ghost, but Jenko gets shot again, and they're holding on to a helicopter as he's trying to escape, and they realize that Schmidt stashed a nade down his boxers, and then what's it called? Jenko reaches in to try and grab the nade and grab something else, and then grabs the grenade, and they blow up the helicopter, and yada yada. They fall. They're all happy, and then Jenko's like, "I still want to be a cop with you. Like we work well together." And then the captain's like, "I got another mission for you," and then it fades to credits where you see a bunch of fictional sequels. Which I think we will talk about later, right?
Yeah, we're gonna have a discussion about that in a bit.
So yeah, that's overarching 22 Jump Street.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Trevor. That was awesome. So I quickly want to touch on some of the more objective things about this film that I appreciate before talking about kind of the film's storyline. But I personally think that this film is actually a little bit better. It's a little bit more refined in terms of its comedy. It's not so problematic, and it's still pretty topical. I enjoy that they shot this at like a real college campus in the Midwest, and it feels very real. It actually felt I broke it down as it felt like more like a junior college, in terms of its like kind of poor resources and poor college kind of environment. Not I gotta be careful how I use that word, but just like everything's kind of run down. They're in like crappy environments that probably have mold in the walls, and they're living in like brick dorms and stuff like that. You don't often see that in California. At least most of the colleges that I visited are a little bit nicer. But like in the Midwest, that might be the case. But at like junior colleges I've been to, that's a little bit more kind of the environment and scene. So I appreciated that the feel of college. They kind of nailed that on the head. I also think that this film is the death of the white college guy trope and the death of the buddy cop film. And we'll kind of talk about that a little bit more, but I need to get those out the way because I think this film is basically killed off both these genres, at least in their original sense.
Now the question is that a good or bad? In your opinion,
I'll explain that a little bit more in the final moments of this episode, but I do have some words to say on that. But yeah, I think this film is really funny. The dialogue is also really interesting. But one thing I want to note that I read about this film is Lord Miller only wrote one version of the script. They didn't have enough time to revise it because they were releasing 2 movies this year. Lego Movie and 22 Jump Street. So, and that's the difference. I think it was about 2 or 3 months that those films were released. I think 22 Jump Street was released April, May, and I remember Lego Movie was released in February. So, not a ton of turnaround. But that's pretty incredible that they were able to write a script once and not have to change it. It just kind of goes to show the comedy talent of both Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum, as well as Lord Miller, that they are just ridiculously funny people. It's also very weird because both Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill are doing much more serious movies now, and much less comedy. So it's kind of an interesting change since then. But I can talk about that a little bit more later. Also, this film embraces meme culture, and this film heavily got memed by both the Schmidt F. the Captain's Daughter, as well as My Name is Jeff, was one of the most used audio clips on Vine at the time. Yes, Vine still existed when this movie came out. It embraces social media a little bit more and whatnot, and it also kind of killed the frat boy idea and kind of showed it for what it really truly was. So that's kind of funny and interesting, and yeah, that's kind of what I want to say about 22 Jump Street.
Imagine if this movie came out when TikTok was a thing, because we had Vine, which is proto TikTok, but like imagine how prolific My Name is Jeff would be.
That remains to be seen, because the TikTok generation might be dead before.
TikTok might be dead?
It might be dead before.
Generation will live on.
It might be dead before the next run of movies we can get that actually talk about it. So
fair enough, yeah.
Or it'll go underground and be like the black market.
Who knows? It'll become the next Flappy Bird.
Undercover. You gotta go underground and get it.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be like, that's how they're distributing. That's how they're doing the thing. And that totally the remake
ties into the movie. Oh my gosh, the movie talks about undercover
using
TikTok.
the underground social media.
Ryan, what did you say?
The deal.
Your microphone is not working or something? I can't hear you.
Mutinho.
There you go.
You got any Lele Pons videos? Just like the market for bootleg TikTok memes. Like, yeah, I got a flash drive full of Lele Pons content right here.
Yeah,
it'd be crazy.
I got
you'll never seen before.
I got your weird Jason Derulo $100,000 TikToks right here.
And the crazy thing, I just even speaking of TikTok, I didn't even realize that if TikTok goes down, are we gonna get like what happened with Vine, where just a ton of people just transfer over to YouTube and Instagram? Like there's a second wave.
Well, okay, so two things. There's like 3 new TikTok clones that have just come out, and I've heard a lot of people are jumping to that. But I don't want to get too much into this, but I know it's like Instagram Trilly, I think is the name. And then there's another one, and then there's Byte, which is the Vine successor. So they could be jumping to any of the 4 of those, and who knows which one of them is going to take off. So we'll talk
potentially a thread for our.
Yeah. So Duncan and I in the future, you can keep your eyes peeled for this, are going to record a how media has changed in the light of COVID podcast sometime soon. I don't know when it'll happen. We're still planning and writing it right now. But yeah, that's an interesting discussion topic, Trevor. What would happen if TikTok was in 22 Jump Street? Can you just imagine like everyone doing the Charlie D'Amelio Renegade and like
everyone's just like super oh, man.
There's a scene where Schmidt does the E-boy head tap.
Oh my gosh.
You go, aha.
He does the little what Cody Ko makes fun of. Yeah, what do you guys want to say more about 22 Jump Street?
Ice Cube. I'm so glad Ice Cube was in this movie. I'm glad that they brought him on in the first one, because I felt like in the first one he was there as Ice Cube, but in 22 Jump Street, if he had not been in the first one, his sort of authority figure as the captain in this movie, he was finally a character, and if that character had not been established, that dynamic and the whole like funny scene that Lucas and Trevor talked about in the beginning of the discussion about this movie wouldn't have happened in the same way, wouldn't have been received the same way. So
yeah,
I'm glad that they had him in mind, and he's an excellent authority figure for this sort of comedy style.
Yeah. On going off of that, Duncan, I also want to add that they distance themselves from the loud black guy trope, in the fact that they actually make comments about it, where Janko, like, as a white guy, tries to say, oh yeah, he basically says that I'm not racist, like, lines to, like, kind of cover himself, but, like, Ice Cube doesn't have it. He's always like, no, I got anger issues. This has nothing to do with my ethnicity. Just like, oh, I'm glad they cleared that up real quick. Like,
and they do that well, like connecting him to being an angry parent or like a protect.
Yeah,
that trope. So I think that works well too with connecting him to the daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I think he mentioned that he's in the first one, and then they have him still, which is great. I think it also ties into how we were talking about good sequel/reboots. And that they talk about that, right? The very beginning, when Nick Offerman is telling them, like, you guys are going to go back to Jump Street. He just says, yeah, we're like, he makes a joke where basically he says, yeah, they just like doing the same thing and people eat it up, so we'll fucking do it again. Like, they really are conscious that this is a sequel to a movie that was making fun of the idea of sequels/reboots.
Yeah.
And so I read a thing that and then what they do with the post credits where they make fun of, like, oh yeah, we could keep going forever kind of deal. But like, I saw a thing where Jonah Hill said, like, I mean, we could make another one, but it's hard to make jokes about sequels and reboots when your franchise has now become big enough to have a third movie.
That's a good
which
point.
It defeats the purpose of what the initial, I guess, not parody, but like the irony in the creation of the movie is. You know?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't even
like
think
it's no longer like, ha, we made another one. It's like, yeah, we made another one.
Yeah, and we can talk about more about that conversation in the future of this series. Ryan, did you want to say anything about 22 Jump Street?
No, I think you guys covered it pretty well. I really agree with the, like, yeah, like, they could make a third one, but the fact that they've already kind of done the joke of it. We're a sequel, we know we're a sequel.
Yeah.
You can't keep doing that bit over and over again and still have it be funny.
Yeah.
Like they gotta do like a Jaws 4 of, like, everyone looks miserable and that's the joke of, like, we're here just because we want that house.
Yeah.
That second house in that, like, that's got to be the joke they pull of, like, yeah, look, the only reason we're back is because we wanted, like, a nice place. Come on.
Whenever we decide to do the Lego movies series, we'll have to talk about how the comparison of the sequel commentary, because I feel like Lego Movie 2 also has some of this, but even more so. Even with the title, it's called Lego Movie, the second part. So it's just kind of interesting. Another couple of things that we didn't mention from 22 Jump Street that I want to talk about is I love the moments of, what is it? Like, there's a really funny moment in, it's the we haven't really talked on the gay. I'm using that word literally. There's a lot of gay innuendos in this second film, more so than the first one. Talking about, like, there's a scene where they literally, like, try to cover, because they find Ghost in a library, a very dark, poorly lit library, I'll add, where, like, they're acting like a gay couple blowing each other to try and get away, and then, like, they talk about how Ghost is constantly even more boomer energy than Schmidt and Janko, but that's kind of what I'm getting to. But, like, Channing Tatum, what is it? Janko's character with the football player, they have like this like unbreakable bromance, and like there's literally a part where they're like, you gotta just break through the molds and then do the whole fisting thing, and it's like, why are you doing this?
Gotta bust through. If you get resistance, just keep on going.
It's like, why are they even doing this? It's so funny. And I want to say they push it so hard to the point where you begin to question if are they trying to make them seem gay, or is it they actually are gay and they're hiding from it kind of thing. Like it's there's that huge like disconnect on whether or not they are. It's not like in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure where there's very serious undertones but no one's willing to admit it. It's more of like it's very clearly at the surface, but like they do it so much that you're like, wait a minute, what?
Lord Miller just wants to make you question their intent. That's their goal.
Yeah.
Be outrageous and question the writer.
Yeah. So there's that. But I'm glad they they have that line. It's like, dude, it's 2014. But
it's really funny seeing that.
It may not be 2014. We don't know.
Like, but I mean, it's funny seeing that because that's that idea of, oh, it's blank year has stuck around. And when you think now, like if someone was like, oh yeah, it's like 2014, you'd be like, it's like ancient.
Yeah.
Those were different times.
Yeah. You know? I mean, wasn't 2014 the same year that gay marriage was legalized in the U.S.?
I think so, around that time. I think it's 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
I think it's 2015. But yeah, although what's interesting now is there have been some reports out there that it's 2012, and that the Mayan calendar was 8 years off.
Oh, right now it's 2012.
Yeah, and like at some point, somebody switched calendars, and you know they kind of
somebody sneezed when they were chiseling, and it kind of bumped the arm, you know.
There's like an 8-year gap in the two like standard calendars that humans have used, and and that technically the Mayan calendar, which is another one out there, is not lining up with 2012 if you account for that 8-year gap. And that makes it 2012. So every time somebody says it's whatever year, I'm like, well, do you even know what year it is? You don't know. What calendar are you using, right? Like,
it's just
it's all just a number. It's all just made up. So
now we're getting into is time real, and you know, I didn't think we'd get this deep on 22 Jump Street, but like
well, and let's quickly touching on Ghost. Like, I love how Ghost is always like, man, I miss the old days when it was like, he's the most boomer energy character in this whole series. Where he's like, man, I miss the old days when we used to just sell cocaine and the simple stuff. Like cocaine's a simple drug and whatnot. It's just like, it's all this funny. He makes comments like that throughout the whole film. It's so weird. But then I love the twist ending where the roommate was actually the daughter of Ghost. I found that pretty hysterical. That she was, because I didn't see that coming the first time. Did you guys see that coming when you first watched this?
I think so, because I think this is the parallel in the initial part of the movie where they already had one father-daughter reveal.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense for them to do it again.
Yeah.
Because that's what this movie does. It just kind of like hits you once, and you're like, oh, good, we're good, we got it. And then it hits you again, you're like, oh, geez, what? I didn't even see it.
Yeah, I just didn't expect it to be her of all characters. I thought for sure it was going to be one of the football players, or it was going to be I don't know, like, I thought, even though they framed the psychology teacher, I thought it was going to be the psychology teacher, or even Patton Oswalt. I would have killed it for it to be Patton Oswalt was the joke.
Patton Oswalt as a bad guy is just like such a delicious thing to have happen.
Yeah.
It's just so funny. I like when they take a throwaway character and bring them back, because it makes you makes you curious about other like, I don't know. I mean, everybody talks about like subverting expectations, but like it's fun to take a minor character who maybe just said like a few lines. Like it gets a very like Scooby-Doo vibe to it,
Yes.
where like, oh, it was the old guy from the beginning of the episode that said two things and was like, "We'll see ya,"
Gotcha.
So, I don't know. I always enjoy that.
Do we have anything else to say about 22 Jump Street?
Who initiated Trevor? Was it Mercedes or was it?
After long and careful deliberation,
Mercedes pounced on my boy.
Ryan
That's
did.
where
There
I
we
stand.
Ryan has no qualms. Based on the dialogue there and the, I would assume Mercedes initiated, but you never know, right?
On the first watch, I thought it was Schmidt, but you guys have brought up some good points. So I think that regardless of the rest of the initial like one take, I think you guys have something there.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea too.
Lucas, are you in on that?
On
Do you,
Mercedes being the initiator?
Is it a majority?
I think so. I'm on the Mercedes was the one who started it.
I kind of just love the idea though that neither of them did, but like
It's
it
so
was just kind of a mistaken thing. But then they both assumed from that point that the other person did.
So
Or like-
funny.
reality.
Yeah, they're both just like whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah. Duncan, did you prepare any 1-star reviews for us, or
Yeah,
are we?
I
Oh, you did.
I have
Okay.
4 of them.
You have 4.
I posted them. You can look at them along with me, or you can wait until I read them. I'm gonna go with the first one.
Okay.
There's one that's
of the
one
first
sentence.
movie. Yeah, there's a short one in there too.
Okay.
So I think we can get through some of these pretty.
I'm
pretty
pulling them up
rapidly
on my
and
iPad
on.
right now
Yeah.
because
So
all my other screens
this
are being
first
used.
one. Oh yeah, as one screens do get used quickly.
Yes.
So this first one was dated March 17th, 2012.
So this
I love
is
the
this is
Actual
the first one.
2012.
I
Yeah,
love
this
the
is-
start
this
of
is-
this one.
So the title of this review is 21 Junk Street.
Boom.
An honest review. I can't understand why there are certain people who constantly hype on this movie on the IMDb and criticize other better movies. I guess they must be paid to do so. Certainly seems plausible since I've now watched this crap fest. How
The
bad
rise
is it?
of the Marvel shills.
Do you remember the abysmal Ben Stiller butchering of Starsky and Hutch from a while back? 21 Jump Street is worse than that. Hardly surprising given that it stars Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum. I've only seen Tatum in one movie before, and he was a wooden, dull, boring plank in that. He's no better than in this. As a leading man, he's even more of a charisma vacuum than Chris O'Donnell. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I don't either. I was like, that's supposed to mean something.
Gonna have to Google that guy later. All right.
I mean, it could be that he was a charisma vacuum, so that's why we don't know him.
Maybe,
Here,
maybe. I don't know.
I'll Google why
To
you
be
can...
determined, charisma vacuum, Chris O'Donnell. Still, at least he's better than Jonah Hill. Superbad wasn't just the title of his breakthrough movie; it's a description of his entire career. He's been doing the same shtick in everything he does, and if it was rubbish the first time, it stinks like month-old festering garbage now. To make it clear, I'm a fan of gross-out, stupid comedy, but not when it's as stupid and badly acted as this. Don't pay to see this. The good reviews are fake. You'll thank me for the warning. 80 out of 153 found this helpful.
Wow, that's quite a
There
few
it is.
people.
That is a lot. Holy cow. Also,
What's the bar for this guy then?
I don't know.
What's the bar in 2012?
I found out who Chris O'Donnell is. It's the guy who currently is on NCIS Los Angeles. The guy Callan. You guys know who that is? It's like the main. He's like the main character on NCIS Los Angeles.
I've
I've
not
seen his
really
face
watched
before.
much crime dramas. Period.
But I also found that he played Robin in Batman and Robin.
the
The
bad one?
The bat nipples one, I believe.
oh my gosh.
The one with Arnold, Mr. Freeze,
Yes,
I
the
Your redeemable
best
one,
one.
yeah,
think. Which I'm
Best
wondering
Batman.
if that's where the person's getting it from. That would be
Maybe.
my
I mean,
guess.
that film did come out
Is
in the
Mr.
early
Freeze?
2000s, so I imagine this guy is comparing, like, his bar is set from early 2000s films.
Oh no, it's like 1997. What the heck? I
Yeah,
just
okay,
found
so
that.
late 90s, early 2000s.
Late 90s. It could. That would be very.
Mr. Freeze have a charisma vacuum attachment?
Oh,
Oh
okay.
my gosh.
All right. Another review. We got another one this time from later, October 2nd, 2018.
It was more recent.
Couldn't even get a chuckle out of me as the title. The text just reads, "Worse than food fight, and the ending traumatized me."
What, with the
That is-
dude trying to grab his penis with his
Oh,
mouth?
yeah, that's right.
That's pretty traumatizing. I'll give him that.
I guess that's what they're talking about. I don't know.
But other than that, I'm like, I don't know what else is traumatizing
Zero
in this
people.
film.
0 people found this helpful out of
I
7.
love that. 0 out of 7 found this helpful.
We always have to quantify it. All right. Now we're going on to 22 Jump Street. This one is from July 2nd, 2014. Title, "Only watch if you are brainwashed into paying for garbage like this as actual entertainment." And it's typed in like title case where you capitalized every single word. Like, again, like constantly hitting the shift button. I don't know if that's standard for movie review titles, but I just noticed people who make statements like that
Mhm.
decide to type in that sort of case. So there's your trend there. All right, into the review. Body text here. I have never seen such a bad movie like this one. The script is a huge load of illogical and absurd events, which in the end collapse together into an anticlimax ending. And the acting even manages to outworsen the completely trash plot. Every actors and actresses in this film seem to worry that the audience might not be able to hear them clearly, so they just yelled at a maximum volume, and it was not pleasant at all! Exclamation point. Wow, all right. The slapstick
They
humor.
say while writing out
Exactly,
like a yelling type sentence.
exactly.
It was not pleasant at all.
All right, I'm this. There was some typos here, but I'm gonna sort of clean it up here.
I love the way they say
The
that.
slapstick, they wrote tick, but
Slapstick
humor. Yeah, that's something's wrong there. Could have been able to save this film from becoming a total disaster, but frankly, it didn't work at all. Trust me, there's literally nothing good about this cheap piece of B-rated, half-ass movie. Save your money and never give it a go. Another exclamation point there. 119 out of 235 found this helpful.
Okay,
Wow.
before you read this next one, I have a question. I have two things. One about the next review, and first about
question.
the review you just
Oh.
read. So
Alright,
you
put it in
were
order.
talking about the type case, all capitalize every single first letter. So
Yeah,
what
I just kind of see it a lot.
So what happens if in the title you make every letter lowercase? Are they whispering the review like they don't want people
No,
to
then
hear
you're like a young pop singer who tries to make her songs stand out on Spotify. Or iTunes. That's also a trend I noticed. That's a joke.
I like that.
Like if you're like a hip music artist, you'll put your songs all in lowercase or something.
Oh my
Or
gosh.
you'll have random uppercase to spell out a secret message.
Whoa! Oh, that's different. Okay, there you go. That's awesome.
now we're getting into Under the Silver Lake vibes. So we'll have to.
That's a specific.
Ooh.
I don't know if you've seen. There's a Billie Eilish song, where it's the title's like "She's Broken," but the capitals spell out "He's okay."
Excellent example of that.
Like,
Steve.
Yes. Billie
So then you have a
Eilish.
question about the next review that I.
Yes.
Well,
Okay. So I haven't read the review. I only read the title. So I'll say the title out loud, and you can ponder this with me. A movie for 6 to 7 year olds in Europe. What? I'm confused by the Europe part.
I think.
And also, this is a rated R film and has quite extensive language. So
I was going to ask you what it was rated. I couldn't remember.
It's rated
don't
R.
really pay attention to film ratings anymore, but yeah.
Here's how you break down the American rating system, the MPAA, if you will. G is the most family-friendly film you will ever find.
Which is what 6 to 7-year-olds should be watching. Or PG, right?
PG is G, but they suggest parental guidance, so you might see a little bit of violence in it. A good example of a PG film is like an Atlantis, where there's action, but there could potentially be death or something like that. But it's mostly childish fun for the most part. So you're like your Pixars or your Shreks or your stuff like that. That would be PG. PG-13 is allowed one F-bomb, and the rest you can say any other swear word as long as it's not the C word, the N word, or the R word or the F word more than once. Unless I think there's a certain cases where in context it's okay. Like if you're doing a historical piece or something like that. But it can't be overused. Now, rated R, you can use any amount of language that you want. It doesn't matter the film. You can have some sex, but not a ton of it before you get into NC-17, which is the next one. And then X is basically porn. That's like how you would rate it. So an X film, the only X film I know about in existence is A Clockwork Orange, but that has pretty intense sex scenes. And NC-17, you can see full exposed genitalia for more than one frame, basically. And the butt does not count. It's more specifically focused on
Well, that's Disney Plus.
Yeah, the mermaid one. I don't
the
butt, get why they did that.
The butt can be seen, I think, in PG-13 films. But yeah, most any you won't see a penis or a vagina in anything that's not NC-17 for more than just a frame. Basically, I know this because I've done research on it. But that's basically your standard. So if there is more than one F word, it is R. Always.
Yeah. All right. So this review, I really don't know who the person who wrote this is or where they're from. We can guess along, I guess. All right, here we go. This review was, as Lucas said, titled "A Movie for 6 to 7-Year-Olds in Europe." It was written October 11, 2014. The body text reads, "The American humor is so with what is that? 6 O's?
6 O's, yeah.
So bad.
So bad.
Such a low level that it's basically like
5 O's.
Walking into a... Okay.
Sorry.
5
I
O's,
just
well, I
wanted to
don't
make
know.
sure you weren't flamed on Twitter for this.
Yeah, that's
For
totally
misinformation.
going to happen. Thanks.
Yeah. You know, you
Wait,
gotta be
okay.
careful, you know.
Yeah, you're right. I am calling out this review about
Could get cancel
where
culture.
the person is... Yeah, great.
And then we find out that I was wrong, it actually is 6, and then suddenly, like, I'm just crucified.
Okay. So it's yeah, that person, they are really not like it. So with 5 O's bad on such a low level, it's basically like walking into a kindergarten in Europe, and it's about the same level. Is this really what the people there like? Somehow I don't think so. I just think that they are fed this crap so often that it's useless to resist. No one above the age of 14 can like this. I would be amazed that that was the case. Why does everything have to be so overblown in their comedies? I don't get it. People aren't that stupid. Try to make quality comedies again if you're capable of that. I didn't finish it. It was impossible to do so. Please make integer 1, decent comedy this year. 32 out of 75 people found this helpful.
I'm
I'm gonna assume
guessing
this person
Make a
is not
guess.
American. This
No,
person is not American,
I
for
actually
sure.
think
The
this
generation
person
of this person,
I actually think
and
this
what
person
country do they reside in?
is American.
That's
No way.
Yes.
I think they're American, but they're old. I think they're of an older generation,
No,
and that's why
I would
they
argue that
they're
it's
putting this on Europe and younger age groups. I
So-
think that's what they're doing with the title.
so.
I don't know.
What?
No. Because this person goes, is this really what the people there like? Speaking
Yeah, 'cause-
is this what the people in America like? I'm assuming this is definitely not.
No. He's talking. I think, or he or she, they are talking
This is
about.
definitely a European.
Yeah, the person's
what?
the person's saying this is so bad that only kids here in Europe would like it. He's saying that we're like
But
children.
he said there. Is this really what the people there?
Yeah, he means there
he's
in
saying
reference to
Americans?
America.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess there's multiple ways. Who knows? Who knows what's really going on behind this? That's why I picked it. I couldn't figure it out. I still don't think I have it figured out, and I had to share it. So there we go.
It's
Those are our
entertaining to
one-star
me.
reviews.
I'm glad you brought this to our attention.
I just love I didn't finish it. It was impossible to do so.
We clearly proved that wrong.
Personally,
I mean,
I disagree with judging movies before you see the whole thing.
Yes, as we've
that's a
know.
good rule to have.
Just because, like, well, I don't know. I think terrible movies can still have funny things happen in them. So,
yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
like, I'm
true.
curious at what point this person signed off. Like, nope, I'm fucking out of here.
They should have put their timestamp in the thing, because that review did not say any spoilers of it, and
No.
it did not warn of any such spoilers. So they could have said, like, yeah, I jumped off an hour in or whatever. Like,
See, I'd respect that more. I'd be fine with a partial review if I was told, like I
partial
watched
review, partial
like
watch.
the
That's
first
not-
15 minutes of this movie sucks, and that's when they stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Because of Trevor's persuasion, I have finished every single movie I've seen.
there we
Whoa.
go. That a boy.
All right.
At least I think so. There may have been some films that I've caught on television
There
that
may be some
I
gaps
wasn't
in my memory.
like paying a ton of close attention to, but I wasn't like reviewing them, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
It's only when you attempt to speak critically
right.
you have to laser focus. No, just
Yes.
kidding.
Yes.
You can
This
still
is
passively watch a movie and then kind of be like, it sucked.
these are some gold reviews. I appreciate the gold 1-star reviews. We'll have to continue doing this with our smaller series. Spoiler alert, we have some bad movie series planned in the future, which won't be revealed today, but will be revealed sometime soon. Yeah, I appreciated the ones you've chosen, Duncan. Do we have anything more to say about these 1-star reviews before we jump into the future?
I just love
Future.
how many people were like, yeah, I totally agree with that. Like how many people were like,
IMDb.
but they were like, I find this super helpful. It's like, whoa.
Often traveled website for movies.
Hmm.
I like it most because you get a wide gambit of people reviewing the films, because a lot of people have an IMDb account. If you want more film people reviews of just users, go to Letterboxd. That's like all film people that are on that website. I don't particularly love Letterboxd because it's a little limited and it's how it defines what a movie is and what's on there. But that's not really a discussion we need to have.
I
But
think it's also worth noting, like, the whole, like, you only really go to look at a review or write a review more often if you either hated it or loved it.
right.
Very few people are like, that movie was average.
Right.
5 out of 10.
Right.
You're like, that movie was fucking trash, and I never want to see the people who made it again,
Right.
and I hope they die in a fire, and also are forced to watch their own movie over and over again for all time.
Yeah.
Because that's the most ultimate torture there could be. Or, I don't know.
That's hell, everyone.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the future. So before I present our little assignment that I've given us, let's talk about the actual potential sequels that were in the works or are in the works for this series. So, as we've stated before, Jonah Hill stated basically it's impossible to make a 23 Jump Street without having to completely make up new jokes, basically, and have to come up with something very different and original. Not that Phil Lord and Chris Miller couldn't do it, but the ship has kind of sailed on that. But let's talk about a sequel that was in the works that got leaked in 2014. So if some of you might remember the very infamous Sony leak that happened in along with the interview, supposedly by North Korea, and a lot of things were leaked out about their entertainment. And some of those things included the interview, its whole movie, and they removed it from theater runs. I think some PlayStation stuff, and Men in Black 23, which was supposedly this reboot sequel of both Men in Black 4 and 23 Jump Street. So,
My God.
and it was actually stated, it was confirmed, it was talked about by Sony executives. It never made it to much other than that, but it was spoken about at one time or another. It was at least confirmed by a couple of people. So, what do you think about that? It would be a Men in Black crossover film with 23 Jump Street.
So if we had this, we wouldn't have Men in Black International, correct?
Men in Black International came out of the decomposing carcass of Men in Black 23.
Oh, okay. So we can kind of take some of our inspiration for this potential script.
I mean,
What it would have looked like from that, or is that too derivative? Is that derivative of a derivative?
I don't know. Men in Black International was literally one of the most boring films I've ever watched, and I don't ever plan to watch it again. But I basically, what I could tell you, that the only similarities that I could potentially notice is that Chris Hemsworth is hot guy, but also dumb guy, and it's a buddy cop film, and Tessa Thompson is the nerdy one, even though Tessa Thompson is a very gorgeous-looking human being. And the only reason they casted those two was because of Thor Ragnarok.
I definitely had bigger expectations for that movie. I don't know why. I did. Maybe this just I like the pairing. I don't know.
I think an interesting thing to wonder about is it a full crossover, meaning like characters from both are in it?
It was supposed to be Agent K and Agent
J.
Agent J and Agent K, X, Schmidt and Janko.
Okay, so all four would be in the movie.
Yes.
Okay,
this was supposed to be the tailing off of Men in Black, tailing off of 22 Jump Street. So this was, I would assume, if this were to go into effect, it would probably come out in 2016, and it would probably be very confusing to audiences. But
speaking of very confusing to audiences,
yeah,
Trevor, I know we talked about this before. Do you think you could give us your fictional plot summary of this movie?
Oh, of how I was literally just thinking that same thing. So I had a bit of inspiration, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, how do you get it to where these two idiots, right? At least in terms of what Men in Black would consider idiots, right? How do you get them crossed into this alien world, right? And so the only thing I can think of, and just in terms of cross-agency movies, it's always completely unintentional, right? There's no we need you guys for this, you know? They didn't seek them out, I guess, is my thought. So
yeah,
my theory is that Janko and Schmidt are just doing a normal Jump Street infiltration, right? They infiltrate this group. They're like, this drug's like nothing we've ever seen before. It makes people, I don't know, fucking glow or something. And I mean, this one,
cosmic phases.
right. Like the first one was supposed to like just make you go kind of nuts, and the second movie was like a study aid, right?
Yeah.
Like this one makes you glow and have superhuman performance and stuff. So I don't know, people who run at night are.
They can call it glow up or something, right?
Yeah,
that's
a good one. No, it makes you glow. It makes you look beautiful, right?
Can I get some glow up?
Oh yeah.
And then for a little bit, but then if you overdose, you die, or like it horribly disfigures you or something, and then
you get a withdrawal.
Yeah.
You have to you have to do a lot of social media to like keep up, but you can't keep up because social media just sucks your soul.
And that's how they integrate TikTok. There we go. We figured it out.
But TikTok didn't exist in 2016. I'm pretty sure.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They would have predicted TikTok.
It would have been Vine.
Called it something else.
Maybe it would have been Vine. I don't know. If Vine hadn't died yet. But anyway, so also real quick aside, imagine writing a movie that integrated Vine and then Vine gets killed.
Oh yeah, there's like a lot of reasons why this movie wouldn't work. But I love it because
they referenced MySpace and Iron Man 1. So.
Yeah.
But like, MySpace was still like around probably when the movie came out. Yeah. No, it was completely dead.
I mean,
you could still go to the website. You could have gone to the website still.
It persists today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's no longer the same thing.
Right.
But like with Vine, you're like, we're gonna post a Vine. And everyone's like, ugh, I don't think you can do that anymore.
I think they could just like have a silent moment whenever they say the thing, and they just insert whatever the like generic. They just make it super generic. Don't even like have any logos or anything. Just make it all like interchangeable parts.
Or they just have like really obvious like, I'm gonna go post a video on YouTube.
Well, they can kind of do it like Blade Runner, because Blade Runner technically the first one takes place in 2019, and Atari is still a very present brand. But in Blade Runner 2049, they brought back Atari in this like now it's a parallel universe kind of thing, where Atari was like one of the bigger corporations that actually survived. The
E.T. was like a huge selling
success.
game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so they need to find out the distributors of Glow Up, and we get maybe the first quarter of the movie, no Men in Black stuff, nothing.
Yeah.
And you just think it's a normal 21 or 23 Jump Street thing. Announce it in either promotional material. It's like a total shock. And then
surprise movie.
And then they go to. And they're like super, like they're on it this time. They've done it twice before, and they go to bust them, and they walk in, and it's just a bunch of fucking aliens, right? And they're like, "What?" And they manage to catch one. They manage to run one down, or like Janko manages to run one down, and Schmidt, I don't know what he would do. He'd do something, kind of a la like he's gotten really close with one of the aliens, and they're gonna be like his informant, like with the mask on. Like he didn't know it was an alien, but like he's, I don't know, seduced the main alien, right? Because he's apparently the lady killer in both these movies.
Yeah.
So J and K walk in, and it's the same kind of like in the first Men in Black movie, like this kid just ran down and I think it's an architect or something on a. It was like a cephalopodia or something. Mm-hmm. This kid just ran one down on foot. Like that requires a ton of skill. And then blah, blah, blah. Like they know too much, but they're still useful. So we're not going to neuralize them. Like Jay convinces Kay not to neuralize them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now they're teamed up, but Kay doesn't like it. And Schmidt's kind of like on the fence about it. But Will Smith and Channing Tatum are like best friends. They're having the time of their lives. And then for like that's the gist of my entire crossover is the moment where they meet, because at that point it can just become whatever, right?
Yeah.
They can either like I mean those movies are not rocket science.
No.
So I'm sure at the end, I mean both 21 Jump Street's movies end with someone throwing a nade at the bad guys. So like that definitely happens in this one.
But it's like an alien. It's like
an alien nade.
You don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they bring back the little tiny gun from the first movie that Jay has. But this time Schmidt has it, and they're calling back to him like finally being able to take the shot, but he shoots it and he doesn't realize, and he just busts a hole in the alien ship. And then Yeah, there's a ton of
screaming
drama,
cricket.
and near the end, they have a big like inter something fight, and Janko gets neuralized, but Schmidt they finds out didn't work because he had contacts in or something, and they come back and they like recommission Janko, and then they have to do like some vital piece of knowledge was learned, but they weren't able to share it because he got neuralized. All this, yeah. I don't know, man. I'm rambling.
I like where this is going. I want to add some muscle to this amazing skeleton. So the drug dealers are the Viagrans, because in the Men in Black canon,
Oh my god.
it's confirmed that the Viagrans created Viagra. So it's
No, I thought they made fucking Anthrax.
It's like this offshoot of the Viagran aliens. So you got that. Okay. 2, the school that they go to bust, everything is like a little weird. Like, because you know how when in the earlier Men in Black films, everything seems like a little too normal kind of thing? So this high school or college or whatever seems a little too normal. They're like, what's up? And it's like a Jerry scene in Rick and Morty where Jerry gets stuck in the simulation. So it's kind of like that, but it's Schmidt and Janko. So that's
actually that, but also it's combined with the teenagers from Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo Monster Island.
Yeah.
How like they were taught to be like teenagers.
Yeah.
But it's teenagers like when Schmidt and Janko were in high school.
Right.
Oh, so they don't notice the difference. Like,
so
oh,
they're
this is
pushed
totally normal.
all the way back to prior to all their character growth, right?
Yes.
And that's why it's the perfect finale, because Janko is forced to bully Schmidt in the school in order to become like popular.
Yeah.
And it totally fits in with all the tropes, and they like start hating each other.
Yeah, it would have to be a film where it takes such a turn at the end that it's like I would say like it's one of those films where halfway through it seems like one thing and then it just completely shifts on you. Like they can't reveal the title. Like they have to open the film with 23 Jump Street. They have to open the film like that, and they have to market the film that way.
That's what I'm saying. It's a complete surprise.
Yes.
Do they have 2 titles? They have a 23 Jump Street title card, and then like once the Men in Black reveal happens, they go to a Men in Black crossover. 23 Jump Street.
Inside the 23 logo, MIB is like in the negative space, and you can't tell.
Yeah, there's something weird about the 23.
And then halfway through the movie, you see a neuralizer flash, and then it gets revealed. Ooh.
Yeah. We just wrote it.
We've never before seen just meta title card halfway through. Do an intermission, however movie theaters are gonna work.
Yeah.
In the future.
Or it's an anti-neuralizer that like reveals alien shit.
Ooh.
And they have to do that to them mid-movie because they've been like the aliens have made them forget the memories, and they
It's like
give
the
them
scene
back
from
the
They
memories.
Live where they have to beat the shit out of each other to put the sunglasses on.
Right. It's a whole,
Excuse
This
me.
is excellent.
Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
oh my gosh, it's such a good movie.
Now-
And do you know what would be the greatest finale though? So they wrap up the series. Will Smith and Janko have been such good friends this whole movie that that Kay retires and Janko becomes Will Smith's new partner, right? But Schmidt is feeling left out, but he partway through, like 3/4 of the way through the movie, gets hit with like an age ray. Like he gets glowed up, right? How we were talking about it, like it changes your physical appearance. He gets glowed up, and it makes him look hella old. So he and Kay now become the new 83 Jump Street, where they infiltrate old folks' homes to bust like caretakers who are stealing all their like morphine and shit.
Yeah, like
And
Medicare fraud and all that.
Yeah,
other
and that
abuse.
is the true climax of the series.
So, okay, so my question is it going to be...
his own film and need a spin-off film. Excellent.
My question,
Yeah, no, the crossover spawns 2 new spin-off films.
My question about this whole thing is this going to have Josh Brolin K, or is it going to have Tommy Lee Jones K in the
Tommy Lee
film?
Jones K, for sure. Like, yeah, because he's got to be old, right? Unless they do a time travel situation.
I mean, Tommy Lee Jones is a pretty old man now. Like,
Well,
Exactly,
this
that's
would've
why
been-
it's
this would've
83
happened
Jump
in
Street.
This would have happened in 2016, though, Lucas, right?
yeah, I don't know. Well, because they could do it with the glow up disease, like the glow up Viagra drug.
Oh, Kay becomes young, and it's Josh Brolin.
It's Josh
again.
Brolin again because they
Ooh.
have
That would
be
time
cool.
travel Josh Brolin. That way they could use both actors.
And Thanos is out of a job, so that works perfectly.
Well, he wasn't. With the time the film would have come out, Josh Brolin wouldn't have been Thanos yet.
It's amazing. Pre-Thanos, you know? Like,
Also, this would have been a rated R Men in Black film, so they could have gone in ways that they had not gone before in the series.
yeah, it could have been really dark.
Yeah.
It's true, I didn't really get to that part. I feel like they would go for the more comedic route, though. Like,
Yeah.
they would do funny shit. Like,
Yeah.
Josh Brolin Kay, like, they send in Will Smith to, like, seduce some lady, and Kay is like, I got this, takes the drug and goes in. It's Josh Brolin.
Oh, my
that'd be-
gosh. That'd be great.
That would have been interesting given Will Smith's recent headline. How that would have been received on a potential rewatch.
Oh yeah. Oh, I
That
didn't
was
even
already a
think about that.
movie, and then that headline came up, and then people rewatched the movie in 2020.
Was it the thing with, like, his wife and some...
Yeah.
It's definitely a different subject, different podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's talk
know.
about the real potential sequel that has been in the talks at Sony.
I
So
mean, I'm going to fund this movie myself.
Yeah, that's the sequel right there, Lucas. It's done. It's perfect.
There it is. You know what? I'll give you that
Mine
one
for
for
whatever.
free.
Yeah.
Whoever makes these movies.
Sony.
But the
Sony
next
does.
Yeah,
two,
that's what I thought.
are
The next two, you got to pay up. The
Yeah.
double
Yeah.
spin-offs.
So the next potential 21 Jump Street film is going to be a 21 Jump Street second reboot. It's going to be another movie, and the potential casting of the two main characters is going to be Awkwafina and Tiffany Haddish. Now this could go one
I'd
of
watch
two
the
ways.
shit out of that movie.
This could either go really bad as a cash grab with those two actors, or it could go really good because both those actors are pretty great in their comedy skill. It just depends on the director, really, and how much Sony is willing to let the autonomy happen with creative freedoms. And whether or not it's going to go back to more the source material and be more serious, or if it's going to be like more Black Lives Matter kind of stuff. Who knows? Who knows what it's going to be? They could take it in an interesting route. But that's what's been confirmed at the moment.
Based off just those two actresses, I'd watch that movie. Like, I feel like, I don't know, I think Awkwafina's funny as hell. And Tiffany Haddish is hilarious too. So I don't know. I can see that working out pretty well.
Yeah.
And this is less of a... I don't think this would get the whole, like, it's a female Ghostbuster, like, you know, kind of deal. Because who cares what
Yeah.
gender they are in 21 Jump Street? I mean,
Also,
who cares what they are in Ghostbusters? But,
They
like,
can use that to their advantage.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Is like
Make fun of that.
You thought we were going to be like that kind of movie.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. It just really depends on the comedic writers and directors behind the film. But
They turn on the TV and it's a female Ghostbusters movie, and they're like, "Oh my god!" They just turn it off real quick. Yeah, we're not watching that.
yeah. So I think that kind of covers it. I want to save the title cards before I talk about this slightly serious subject. But just as a preview, we are going to look at all the title cards from the ending of 22 Jump Street, and we're going to pick the one that we want to be a real sequel the most and why.
I like that.
But before I do that, I want to just make some comments on the modern day. So going back to what I said in 22 Jump Street, the 22 Jump Street is the death of the white frat boy college trope, as well as the death of the buddy cop film. There have been white college frat boy films and buddy cop films since then, but they have not matched the comedic prowess nor the meta-ness of the Schmidt-Janko, Lord and Miller take on 21 Jump Street. And there's probably in these films it is a little bit dated now, which is crazy because these films were like real modern when they first came out, but they're definitely dated a little bit now. Not quite as dated as like whatchamacallit, High School Musical dated, but they've definitely dated themselves a little bit with some of the language, as well as the they talk a little bit about it in 21 Jump Street being the whole police brutality thing, but they definitely kind of teeter on that line of, is it meta or are they just doing it for the sake of it being funny, slapstick gag kind of thing. But I feel like they're really good and they do a really good job of, doing this genre, and I don't feel like any of the films kind of stack up to the level of what these films originally portrayed in their original release. You know what I mean? So I just don't think... I feel like these films kind of like... It was so epic in its like stereotyping of the trope that it just killed the genre. It was kind of like... What's the word? It was kind of the Blazing Saddles of the buddy cop film, more or less.
Saddle.
Yeah. It's
a cool fucking sounding thing.
It's
I have no idea what it means.
It's a parody.
You'd like it.
It's a parody on spaghetti westerns. But the reason there's a lot of like commentary on can Blazing Saddles be made today, and that's not really the question people should be asking. There's a whole video essay on it. I can't remember. Ryan, I think you sent it to me. I'll have to post it or something somewhere.
It's a really good video essay.
Yeah. Look up should Blazing Saddles be made today? But it basically, that film kind of killed off the original spaghetti western idea and all of its tropes. And I feel like 21 and 22 Jump Street have kind of done that for the buddy cop film and white frat boy film as well. Kind of a swan song comedic killer. It's weird to say that, but I think that's what it is.
It's one of those try and follow this up kind of deals.
Well, yeah, I think Chips is, like what Ryan said, is a really good example of like how they tried to copy it, but really failed at it. So, I don't know. Do you guys have any comments to say on that?
I'm just curious whether you think is that a good thing that these things are gone and dead, or is it just kind of like a objective thing where it's like now it's dead for better or worse?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both, because one, it presents new creativity and new voices to write a new story that's more original and different, and maybe talk about more topical issues like the ones we're facing today. Probably not right now. Now is probably not the best time to do a buddy cop film, but give it a couple years when this is kind of resolved in some fashion, and you can probably make some better commentary on it and write it a little bit better. But I also, in the case that I think they're both dead, like I would say Neighbors was kind of the last white frat boy thing that kind of excelled. But other than that, it didn't really work. And, I mean, I've never seen Neighbors, so I can't speak too much on it. But I know they were successful because of their stardom, but they weren't necessarily, like, super good. And I know that the sequel was a little less well received than the first one. But I think the first one came out the same year as this film. So, But yeah, I would say for both better and worse, and the good of the writing world.
All right, that one's
I wonder
tied up there.
Trevor? I was just gonna say, I wonder how much, like, how you say it, like it's how much of it stems from like a cultural shift, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, with the buddy cop, but like mainly the frat boy movie kind of thing. And do you think it's we as a society are moving away from the glorifying of the
yeah
fucking party,
mm-hmm.
like I don't know, like all that kind of deal, or is it just moving on to like different stories to tell, kind of thing?
I think a little bit of both. I think a lot of, like, because of the articles that had come out in the early 2010s about all the hazing and stuff that had come out and whatnot, whether it was whether it was a practical joke or not, it came out to be pretty detrimental, and it brought a lot of scrutiny on these college campuses and whatnot. And I'm not going to say frats are bad or good for any reason. My brother is in a fraternity, so and I know what they're doing now is very safe and sanctioned, and it's not exactly what was originally happening. It's much more safe and controlled. It's not meant to offend or hurt anyone, and that sort of thing. That stuff has kind of been fixed, and they're more charity focused now than anything. So they were kind of in the beginning, but the focus is more based on the charity side of fraternities. So I'm not going to say anything bad about fraternities, but I would say that the idea and stereotype of it was kind of killed off with this film a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Do we have anything else to comment about that? I don't want to get too much into police brutality because that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day.
Definitely.
Maybe it doesn't fit the jovial vibe of Jump Street.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is definitely satire, very like...
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Those messages are... any sort of crazy, outrageous act you see on the screen is intended to be satire for the genre,
right,
and not an endorsement of whatever is happening.
Yeah, and I also want to point out all of the villains in these films are typically white males, so it follows the new 2010s trope of white males are the new bad guy. So there's that. So do with that what you will, but yeah, let's move on to a positive note and end the show on a little bit of a good light. So I have painstakingly found every image of the title cards from the 22 Jump Street credit sequence, in where they make the joke that 22 Jump Street and 21 Jump Street is going to live forever, and the song literally playing in the background is Live Forever, so that's kind of hilarious, and very jokingly and meta. So with that said, why don't you guys pull up the Google Drive, or if you've already chosen, why don't you guys start on what sequel of those, 40 sequels that were made, that you would like to see the most, and why?
I will concede the floor. Who wants to go first?
I want Sunday School to be the most like real one here.
Dang it!
I like that
something
one too.
different.
Because that would be just so funny to see them do, like, to tackle those kind of jokes, but then also have like just completely different actors. Seth Rogen's here. Don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Contract disputes. What contract disputes?
I do love that also.
Although I think they would have to get Channing Tatum to also be like a slightly different actor for the joke to really kind of.
I think
maybe just for like one entire scene, you have his stunt double.
Yeah, just something like that, like.
And they very clearly like change back, like he like shakes his hand as he walks off, like good job, dude. Anyway, so we're gonna shoot you now.
My name is Jeff.
Yeah. It's like his back's turned, but it's a totally different voice. So my name, Jeff. Like, whoa.
I have mine picked out.
Go for it, Duncan.
30 Jump Street Flight Academy. The tagline is putting the cop back in co-pilot. I don't know who that is with them on the poster.
I think it's what's her name from Top Gun, or like her daughter or something.
Okay.
It's supposed to be making fun of the female lead in Top Gun.
Uh-huh. That's interesting. But yeah, I just think that this one, like the flag in the background and the fire and the flames filling up, very like they could do a lot with this kind of a trope where they sort of deconstruct this type of movie with all the military connections and the, you know, the patriotism and just, yeah, I think that would be very interesting to see them navigate it, and who they would bring on, and who would play all the like generals and stuff, and especially with the recent war movies that just came out 2019, sort of which way they turn in that sort of mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go for it, Trevor.
These are not my favorites, but I do think they are the funniest title cards. I really like 36 Jump Street and 37 Jump Street, military school and scuba class respectively, because it is the same image of the two of them.
Oh, it is.
What? Their faces are the exact same. If you scroll between the two of them, you can tell. They're just in a different outfit. They're the exact same pose, and the lighting is different. Like, it even kind of looks like on 36 Jump Street that they are photoshopped. Especially Channing Tatum. Like, his neck is totally different looking than in 37, yet he's in the exact same pose. So I really love that idea that they were just getting kind of lazy. Also, you can tell because, like, on 36, the light source is supposed to be from, like, behind them, so their faces should be lit differently, but they're lit the exact same way as on 37. And I don't know. I just really enjoy the idea that they were just like, just reuse the picture from the other one. Like, we don't have time to take another photo. So I really liked that one. And then I think my favorite one, though, let me just double check here. My favorite one is 41 Jump Street Magic School. Just because something about Channing Tatum in a top hat and magician white gloves, it just seems very funny to me. And I feel like they could make a very good callback to like Magic Mike kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like just something small, like, what's your stage name? Mike. So you're going to be Magic Mike? No, yeah, you're right. That sounds stupid. Or something.
Excellent.
I don't know. What about you, Lucas?
I think I'm gonna have to go between scuba class and a semester at sea.
Personal experience, Lucas?
Well, I just, part of me wonders, like, in the scuba class one, like, they have to, like, literally do gunfights underwater, and I just imagine them getting, like, really frustrated with the fact that the bullets just kind of skew as soon as they hit the water surface, kind of thing. They don't make it very far.
Kind of like you were really frustrated with your scuba class.
Oh man, don't I don't want to get into that.
I like
another
the tagline on that
parallel.
one too. Rose before
like
Cousteau's.
But a semester at sea.
Oh yeah, excellent.
If you look at the image, there's this woman who's like super buff in the background, and it looks like she's carrying a sword. And I'm like, is this like female Conan? Like, what is it? And it's
Wait, on which one?
25 Jump Street. And the tagline is "Ship happens." But I just imagine them having to jump through different accents, like they go German one day, French the next day, so they have to like be undercover in every single country, kind of thing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I like how
that would be
the Eiffel
a
Tower
very interesting
and Big
travel.
Benner in the background. Like, just like, yeah, we're in Europe. Like, okay.
Yeah, especially with the travel implications, COVID-19.
Yeah.
In the post-COVID world, how they would do that, if they would do anything with that.
Mm-hmm. I think taglines might be my favorite part, though. Like on the 27 one, culinary school, let's do this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's so dumb.
But the most realistic one I would say is 27 Jump Street. Like, that's the one I can see the most, just with Bill Hader being Bill Hader. He would be kind of the perfect villain. for it. So I'm kind of all for Bill Hader against the Janko and Schmidt.
I kind of like the bad, like video game Jump Street look of them too.
The GTA look.
Yeah, where like Schmidt kind of looks okay, and then Channing Tatum's just like, what the heck?
Very generic.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have anything to add to this? What do you think 2121 would be like? That's the one that's in space.
The space one?
Yeah.
Let me relook at the image.
I think it's a time travel. I think they're somehow sent into the future. Right? Because they look like themselves. So
it's going to be a Futurama situation. Cryogenics.
I mean, it's 100 years into the future.
Okay, realistically, going based on the time frame of all of these films, were about to come out 2 years after each other. So let's do.
Saying it would have been.
So there's roughly about 44 different Jump Street movies. So
what are you
44
counting
times
for the movie shortage in 2021?
44 times 2 years.
Well, also, but you got to think like some of those are action figures, a little kids game, a video game, and an animated series.
Okay, so 43.
We're not accounting for those.
There's roughly 43 movies. So 43 times 2.
Well, how could it be 43? Because it goes up to like 43 Jump Street, but they started at 21.
They didn't.
So wouldn't it be like roughly like 20 movies?
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. So
they also don't say how many movies in between they do between
2021.
2021.
So
I assume my thought was just like that's 21 Jump Street 44 or 45 or whatever.
Okay, so that would mean there's.
Wait, does that add up?
22 more movies. There's 22 more movies, so times 2. So it would take roughly 44 years to complete all of these films.
Jesus.
Which almost parallels James Bond.
They could have used the retirement home one, which I think is 40 Jump Street, right?
Yeah.
And had that be the last one and then just hella old, but they still show them young in the title card.
I think that's why it's like those guys are separate characters. That's not.
Oh, I thought it was supposed to be like them undercover originally.
Or wearing prosthetics.
I don't know what's happening there. That's up for interpretation.
It's a whole new jump.
Whole new jump.
Wow, there it is.
Great. Good stuff. All right, any parting words before we end this last episode and we announce the future of the Franchise Frenzy Late Night with Lucas 2 Blue series?
Future.
We're making 22 sequels, y'all.
I should have named this episode 20 Jump Street.
This is the prequel?
Because this is episode 20 in franchise in Late Night.
But this is the prequel to our career making 21 Jump Street movies, a la the Men in Black crossover.
I'm just writing it.
We're just gonna write every single movie.
We're just in the writer's room this whole time.
This is the writer's room.
It's been a long writing exercise to like get our creative juices flowing.
Yeah, I'm Phil. Duncan is Lord. Trevor is Chris, and Ryan is Miller.
It's Chris.
Oh wait, no. Hang on. Duncan and Ryan have to switch because Duncan's already named. Last name is Miller.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, I believe they are two people, Lucas. I don't know.
I know.
More than two people making the movie.
But also, I just love how we would talk about Lord and Miller, and then somebody gets to be Lord, somebody gets to be Miller, and I'm some guy named Chris. Like
Chris Miller. That's the guy.
So we're fused into one person?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Four creative minds and two creative bodies.
Also, real quick, is there something satisfying about the fact that those names also are like kind of medieval, right?
Yeah.
Like you've got Lord and the wise old Miller who makes grain down by the windmill.
Yeah. It's kind of
I don't know. Maybe I'm just a weirdo who
It
thinks
does
about
have
that.
it does have a nice
was very
ring to
satisfying
it.
to me.
Yeah.
I will say in a TV show they made Last Man on Earth on Fox, they combined their names into the main character, Phil Miller. So that's a cool show if you guys have ever watched. I believe it's on Hulu or you can get it somewhere. It's on around there, but it definitely got canceled a couple years ago.
That show might
All right,
need
Lucas,
a revitalize after the current state of events.
Yeah,
Maybe they'll come back. I don't know. Maybe NBC could bring it back, like they did with Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Who knows?
We'll see. But yeah,
Coronavirus. The coronavirus
it's definitely
special.
very, very topical.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know we're dragging on, but I'm
fine.
curious when the first like coronavirus themed bit of media will come out, right?
Ooh,
Like when is it going to be
actual
like a
TV shows.
retrospective kind of deal?
The documentaries will come first.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw
So
someone.
like a fictional thing.
I don't know if this was like a final or something, but someone made a really short narrative based game called I think Last Red or something like that, and it's a game where you have to send text messages back and forth to a student that you were developing a relationship with prior to the events of the I think they say COVID in the game, and it was released super recently. I need to play it, but I've heard about it, and you basically have to continue this long distance relationship over texts in a
You sick yet?
post-COVID world.
No. You?
So is that like a weird like COVID dating sim?
I guess
Social
so.
distance dating
Technically.
sim? Is that
I'm not
That's a-
surprised. That's the first thing to come out of this. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty simple game though in terms of structure. It's more story than anything.
if the first documentary doesn't lead with Cardi B going coronavirus, then I'm not.
Well, I
watching it.
think it would be a docudrama. I think that's
Yeah.
kind of the mold now, is because you couldn't do a straight documentary
Well, I
because
saw-
you don't know all the facts.
I saw the other
The Comedy
day.
of Errors, maybe?
I saw the other day a documentary, the first documentary on like the earliest bits of it that interviewed Fauci and a lot of the different like people in the government medical side of things, as well as some people that are family members of early victims of COVID-19. And I was like, oh, I guess we already have documentaries on this, which I didn't expect to happen so quickly. But I guess one of the news studios rallied with a very small team. And it was pretty good. But,
We've got our top pseudoscientists on the case.
yeah.
What?
Nice.
So, anywho. Enough about coronavirus. But, yeah, that was 22 Jump Street. So, big announcement. This is the last...
Now on to the next sickness set to sweep the nation.
Yes. This
The
is
Lucas,
the last...
the Lucas 2 Blue.
As I said before, this is the
late
last...
night show.
This is the last episode of Late Night with Lucas 2 Blue of the summer
Soon to
season.
sweep through like a pandemic.
Rough.
We're gonna go viral. Yeah, okay.
I mean, I
That is
tri-
a hashtag. Use the
yeah,
hashtag.
yeah,
L2B
use L2B goes viral.
Hashtag more infectious than coronavirus.
Oh my gosh.
That's a little too long of a hashtag.
Yeah.
Just,
All right, Lucas.
But
Okay, go.
so
Sorry.
yeah, we're gonna take a pretty big break from uploading. The only things that will get uploaded over the course of this next month is the audio podcast versions of both the High School Musical episode and the episode we are currently doing. I'll probably remove this from the tail end of the 21 Jump Street audio, but we're taking a break.
Spare everybody, please.
Because I need rest, and I've been working at this pretty hard all summer, as well as the rest of the team that have been so graciously to devote their time and energy to producing this show, and it's been a lot of fun. But we're going to come back rested in September, and I'm going to confirm it out loud. We will come back, and we're going to do an episode on Season 1 of The Boys prior to Season 2 coming out. And we also have some really fun things planned, like the 1-year anniversary of Late Night with Lucas 2 Blue, as well as some movies that we've been wanting to cover for a really long time. So that's going to be coming out soon. But yes, stay tuned for just the 2 audio episodes, and then the rest of August is going to be completely free of any sort of LCT Lucas 2 Blue content anywhere. No Twitch streaming, no any of that. We're going to be off. There will be a newsletter tomorrow, but other than that, it's just kind of outlining everything that's come out since then and what the future holds in more detail. So go check it out. But thank you guys for watching. This was a lot of fun. Any parting words before we see everyone in September in 2020?
Go watch Umbrella Academy season 2.
Oh, really? I haven't seen season 1.
Would you recommend the
Back up.
first season?
Oh yeah. Super
I
cool.
watched like a couple episodes and then we fell out of it. I'll get back to it. Parting words. Stay safe, y'all.
Mhm.
We shall see you in a month.
Yep. Anything from you, Ryan?
No, I'm good.
Is he 3 points away?
Mine says, a bitch tired.
But this was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for watching. But I think I'll call it here. But yes, stay tuned for September. It's gonna be wild. We got lots of content coming out. Lots of fun things.
Hey, Ryan, did you fucking shave? I just realized. What the hell, dude?
Oh yeah. It was
God
because
damn it.
it was getting weird with the mask for work,
Fair.
so I just decided to shave it.
Fair enough. Well, with that, let's end this show. And thanks everybody for watching.
Bye.